Well, evening, guys. It's almost practically midnight. It'll be January 10th coming up. It's Saturday. It's still the 9th. Still January 2021. Half more hour Pacific Standard Time. How about that one? Neighbor John C. Rosamond, California. Yeah, how you guys doing this evening? Can't sleep. Too much has been happening this past week. It's got me stressed out like crazy. Every time I keep turning on the news, it's either hearing about the COVID numbers going screwing like crazy. Hospitals being decreased of bed sizes to non-existent, and then people screaming for more beds and more places, and then a few hospitals shutting down either for reconditioning or for something else, which makes us really have problems with the damn hospitalization system all over the damn Southland here in California. That's not bad enough. Then we get to hear about Trump in his mouth. And the followers are going crazy left and right. Here in Los Angeles, a few days ago, during the Wednesday insanity going on over in Washington, D.C., Pershing Square gets to have their own fun over there. By First Amendment law, we are guaranteed freedom of speech to demonstrate our own points of view, despite the fact that the other side will not like it. And the thing of it is, we as Americans are supposed to be honoring the right. We just don't honor what the hell they're saying. And therefore, we have clashes at this point over here. But that's what happens when you have a democracy situation. People clash with the ideas, and somehow, somewhere, we're supposed to be having a common sense of what the hell we're supposed to be supporting at this time. Apparently, the idea of being an American is lost to a lot of people these days. And as explained back in a 90s movie, it was about 93, 94? Michael Douglas, Annette Bening, Martin Sheen, Richard Dreyfuss, Michael J. Fox. These folks starred in a movie called The American President. Without going through the bylines and the plots and everything else going into the thing, the main message at the end of the movie was basically we're all Americans, okay? To be an American is advanced citizenship. To paraphrase the movie at this point over here, you gotta want it really damn bad to stay in this country, to live in this damn country, because you're going to have the other schmucks yelling and screaming their damn heads off. That being said, as I was trying to explain in other videos, and disclaimer, I'm not an expert on anything. I'm just observing too much negativity these days and not much positivity. Because we're not seeing it on the news these days. We're not even seeing it on the social media. I'm seeing people clashing with each other left and right. When you have social media sites being denied by other big tech companies, people are screaming the First Amendment rights are being violated at this point over here. And I have to keep reminding the people the First Amendment applies towards government intervention at this point over here. Government gives you the right to say up to a limit. But it's not unlimited free speech. That's why we had court cases going through federal district courts. That's why we had Supreme Court making decisions left and right on what our limits of free speech is. It's not unlimited. We can't say going into a movie theater and screaming our heads off fire when there is no fire. Basically, we're causing a panic. Some people say that you're violating my freedom of speech at this point over here, and that's not violating your freedom of speech. That's causing mayhem. However, if you happen to say this movie sucks, walk out, and having everybody else saying the same damn thing, of course, you can get a picket going outside saying, this movie sucks. Demonstrated outside on public property, which is the sidewalk. But when you storm the capital of a country, it's sedition. It's not riot. Especially when you do damage and you cause harm to people and in the process have people killed. You crossed lines over that one. So people are screaming and yelling about their First Amendment rights being taken away from them. Not because they've used and abused the right in a negative way. Yeah, I'm probably taking the side of establishment at this point over here. It's only because I know what the right-wing media has already showed us, or left-wing media showed us, and somebody showed us here. It's the fake media stuff. Not fake media stuff. When you get riled up into a damn frenzy and you're going over to a place and you destroy it. You make the choice. You made the choice. It's your decision, therefore you get to pay the price. And that's what we're facing. We're facing our civil war, so to speak. And I've said that on social media. I said on social media because we haven't completely gone over the first Civil War with all the bells and whistles concerning about slavery issues, concerning about our anger towards each other, our hatred towards other races. And we're thinking that the other races are well below this one particular master race. As demonstrated in too many conflicts and too many wars throughout the decades, throughout the centuries. And we're still demonstrating that. Our country will never be whole and together. And I doubt it ever will, or intended to be so. Otherwise, we would have had no issues throughout the centuries or decades. We would have had our civil rights a long time ago. We would have gotten rid of slavery. We would have had a balance between state and federal rights. But unfortunately, we didn't have it. We didn't want it. We're not going to get it. That's how it is. Each generation has this to face. And the previous generation is still having a hard time with its own previous generations that had to keep building upon or tearing down. And this is what we're dealing with. This is what we're dealing with. When you think I'm wrong, you put it in comments. Put a hell of a lot of dislike saying you're wrong about your comments. Be my guest. Keep this in mind. Keep this in mind. We're dealing with the First Amendment rights, correct? Just want to make sure we're on the same page. If this was a government-run social media that we're viewing, whatever we're viewing right now on, okay? If it was a government-run sponsored media company, and they are producing something similar to YouTube, they would have certain legalities in there, but basically they give you a lot more latitude than the private companies do. At least in theory. Practicality, we don't have those. We have private companies. We have private companies doing their own viewpoints. Keep this also in mind, that the press may be free, but they're also slanted, like everything else these days. And yes, you're going to scream conspiracy theories left and right. They give you the facts, but only in their particular viewpoint at this point over here. It's up to you to disseminate from different points of view, different sections of that event there, to to determine what the hell happened unless you're already there in the first place and you've got your own perspective and context to give out to people. So unless you're there, you're not going to have the full effect. You're going to have to go around the corners of the damn event or something, or whatever the hell it is, just to get the information there. And make a determination in your head. Now, if it's the right one or not, it's also going to be depending on everyone else's point of view at this point over here, whether or not you're in consensus or not. Okay. Let's do a hypothetical, shall we? Or, if you want to use your real point of view at this point over here, we'll argue about that case. As I said before, I'm not a legal expert. I've only taken a few political science classes. I've seen a hell of a lot of things going on in life. So I'm going based off my own experiences, my own perspective, my own context. As you all do in your own way. Whatever you've learned, whatever you've based it on, whatever kind of facts you've got, and whatever format you learned it in. When the country was formed, we were trying to get our colonies to be self-regulating, self-governing, and away from any other foreign government. We wanted to have our own country run the way we wanted it by doing whatever was necessary, not to mention making arguments of how it was supposed to be run and the process of it. And at first we had something called the Articles of Confederation. It gave the states a lot more emphasis on what they could and could not do, and then everything else was left to the shadowy filament of the federal government. It's supposed to be tying everything else together, but not really, because everything else was still state-run at this point. As much as the perspective I keep learning from different points of view, from different professors, and from different resources at this point over here. But suffice it to say that after we kicked the shit out of the British at that time, we had our own way, and we were also deep in debt. Keep this in mind. The British was also deep in debt. That's why they leaned heavily on the United States for their profits. They wanted to fill up their damn coffers, so probably to continue other wars or try to rebuild their own damn economy. But they couldn't really do it on the backs of us. And since we didn't have any representation over there, nobody would say, hey, nobody talked to us about this damn thing. Says, well, since you're not over here and you're over there, we still have the right to do so because you're not really over here, you're just over there. And that really doesn't matter, does it? We didn't like it. We had enough of the taxation without representation. We also didn't like it quartering troops in our own homes and having the British say whatever the hell they want. And we wanted our own independence at this point over here because if we're managing our own economies, we're managing our own lives over here, why the hell do we need a screwed up government on the other side we kept using the logic on? And the rest was, unfortunately, a bloody history for several years. And then we get into a situation where we finally got something going, where we got the states feeling so confident that they could still do anything. They're still broken in hell. What they do? In order to fill up their coffers, we have to squeeze people left and right. Who you squeeze? Your own people. But the federal government didn't have any power to regulate anything. Only the states did. And since there was a lot of things happening that the federal government should have done, they didn't have the power to do anything since they didn't have any teeth in the Articles of Confederation. They gave more emphasis to the states. That's why we had the Shays Rebellion situation going on. So many people have lost property, couldn't pay, so they ended up in prison. Property gets sold off to bankers, to wealthy people. but the profits are still not going back into the states to fill the coffers necessary in order to keep the states running at this point, to get them out of the damn deficit. The federal government had to be coming in because they needed to do the federal regulation, but they didn't have the deed for it. Because under the Articles of Confederation, states had the power. So the Great Compromise had to be created in order to give the federal government more teeth, less gums, and therefore taking a lot of power away from the states, a lot of the independence that they wanted to have in the first place. A lot more Big Brother over their damn shoulder than they liked. That attitude has remained the same throughout the centuries, up to this day, up to this point. They're like Big Brother over our damn shoulders. What the hell do we need him for in the first place? We know what the hell we're doing. Yeah, right. Shays Rebellion taught us that one a long time ago. That's why we had to have the Constitution formed the way it was. More federalized power, more centralized government. Conservatives want to decentralize back again. They're not going to get it. They're not going to get it. Unless they're going to be making changes to the Constitution or make up another Articles of Confederation to match up. And that's going to be a miracle. Or worse, a curse. But suffice it to say, we've got the government as we have right now. We have the processes as we have right now. And people felt disenfranchised as I'm trying to understand their point of view. And therefore they went insane. They found a leader. They found a guru. They found a messiah. They found a madman to lead them. And led them into chaos. He did. He said, go. They went forth. And they went insane. They went insane. So now, as we're looking at things now, we're looking for all those people who have destroyed and murdered. Harsh words, but effectively the truth. It's not a point of view. Is that causing the sedition at this point over here is creating more and more of the situation happening at this point. People thought it was a damn game. They still think it's a game. They own the house because they pay the taxes, right? They don't like to pay the taxes. Unfortunately, it's a federal law created last century, and also continued. Actually, more than last century, about a century and a half or two. We needed the taxations. We have the representation for it. And we need the revenues going into the damn place in order for them to have their services. If they can't get the services out of the damn state, they need it from the federal government. This is why they need to have the money in the first place, which comes out of yours and my pocket. You want the damn streets? You pay for the damn streets. You want your roads? You pay for the damn roads. You want your airports? You pay for your damn airports. You want your maintenance on the railroads? Out of your pocket. Everything comes out of our pocket in order to do the common good. Everything. That even means if you want to have a strong military to keep everybody else off your damn borders, you're going to have to pay for them. The money doesn't grow on the trees. We don't have money trees, okay? We're not picking them like every damn harvest. No, it's picking it out of yours and my wages at this point over here. We're taxed ourselves because we need to get the revenues necessary. And we also need to get trade. We need to get materials. We need to get manufacturing. We need to have industries going. We need to have a functioning economy in order to generate the income. We need regulations for this. Not state regulations, federal regulations at this point over here. Complicated, screwed up as it is, yes, necessary. We even need to have regulations to keep the air clean, not from one state, but for everybody. Federal regulations at that point. Yeah, I'm talking like a liberal at this point over here. People have called me a libtard these days. You know what? On that one. I'm a libtard. Deal with it. But I'm looking at it also on how to run a damn country at this point over here, and nobody likes it. Nobody likes the way the country is writing at this point over here. If they want to make changes, why don't they run for Congress and find out what the real process is all about? And that's where we come into the situation there, because everybody else is screaming that they're in the deep pockets of everybody. I hate to tell you something, but democracy is one of the worst governments you've got out there, because it's easily corruptible. It's also easily corrupted as well. Democracy depends upon one vote, one person, roughly. Unless you got the electoral college built into the damn thing, based on population and size, and then representation of that. But basic democracy is one person, one vote. And with us, we have a representative democracy at this point over here. We have representatives to argue, both for people in the minority, but also for the people in the majority. We also have a two-house system going on, Senate and the House. Senate is what they call the saucer, while the House of Representatives is called the cup. You gotta love it when they talk about this stuff in Hamilton Papers, I swear. The Federalist Papers, number 10. Oof. Man, that'll get you going. It'll put people to sleep, though, unless you're a scholar. And then you gotta research like crazy. This is not libtard. This is something that knows that education is important these days, and if you don't give yourself the education, even go into libraries and read, self-educate yourself, you're not going to keep up what the hell's going on. You're going to be listening to someone else and think it's gospel. You have to be skeptical at times to understand what's going on around you. You have to question. You have to understand. Some things you may try to take it on faith, and when it doesn't work on faith, what are you going to say? God's will at this point over here? Well, maybe God was showing you a different way at this point over here, but you're too damn stupid to know it. I said it. Put that in quotations. Put that in comments if you need to. Put a dislike if you need to. I'm saying what we've got going on right now as it is a hell of a lot of negative interpretations of what things should be and what the reality is. You folks got led by a damn con man who wanted everything for himself. You did the King George routine. Trump thinks he was King George the Third. And people are talking about patriotism. To who? To the flag, to the Constitution, or to Donald J. Trump? You put your fealty, instead of the country, into one lunatic who was using you guys like crazy. He's had a complete, utter meltdown. Nobody bothered to figure this one out. You guys didn't want the system. You guys didn't understand the system. You guys didn't want to understand the damn system. You think everything else is a conspiracy. Without proof, without facts, without showing it to the world, without bringing it up. Oh, I understand that. The media is also involved. The media is to blame. Everyone else is in a major conspiracy. Give me a break. Give me a break. Ending this, I'm going to talk about the media companies that you folks so depend upon for your mass communications. And keep this in mind: they're privately sponsored companies. Maybe they're publicly traded, but that doesn't mean they're publicly owned. You folks actually did your damn homework at this point over here. Publicly traded means they've got every information out there, open season, open book. And some things actually are kept private that they don't allow to share, but everything else is open. But it's not publicly owned. Are you paying taxes for it? You're paying fees sometimes. If you pay fees to advertisers pay the media platforms, which give you the semblance of freedom of speech, to do whatever hell you want. But you folks keep forgetting. Every time you keep going on these damn things, they have terms, they have conditions, they have rules and regulations. You clicked OK. You clicked submit. You clicked I agree, I won, without reading the damn fine print that bores the crap out of you. That's where they get you. And you bitch and you gripe that you're not free enough, and you think you own them. You folks have a lot to learn. Nothing's free in these days. Everything comes out of our damn pocket. There's nothing freely given. It was somebody else's contributions. Either they bought the stuff to give to other people at this point over here, but it was bought and paid for. Even when you go to the food giveaways, they're not magically coming out of a damn tree or a manufacturing plant. Somebody had to pay for the food to be distributed to everybody else who didn't have a chance to get a bite to eat, not even for a week or two. Public assistance. You folks worry about socialism and communism. Try the public assistance that other folks get, or you get. In one way or another, you're paying for it. How? Let's see. You're going to be you're in a county. The county gives you food stamps from the state, but the county also gives you money to live on, and a voucher. That money's got to come from taxpayers. And somehow or another, it comes out of your damn pocket because you're also contributing into the system as well. That helps you out. And the food? Yes, the food is coming out of everyone everywhere else, but the money for the food is still coming out of your damn pocket, one way or another. Keep this in mind. In order to keep this country going, in order to keep the trade going, we need to have businesses. We need to have functionality in these businesses. And yes, COVID is killing us left and right. And we have to adapt to this. We have to. Otherwise, say goodbye to everything, boys and girls. I'll blame everything on you. Because you fail to keep up. You fail to understand what's going on. Yeah, I'll blame you guys for everything. You guys are going to be wanting to have your fire services, your police services, out of your pocket. You want to drive on the damn roads, and you don't want the roads to have potholes, you pay for it. Of course, you're paying for a lot of money out from the gas companies these days, but if you want your car to run, you got to pay the piper to get your gas. Pay private companies for that. Keep this in mind. We all contribute. We all contribute to keep our society running the way we needed to have it run. And if we can't keep that together, we can't understand that, shit. We might as well go through the age of apocalypse at this point over here. Mad Max, here we come. Resource wars. Lack of food, lack of fuels, too many people. Scary thing to end off in this particular conversation here, but it's a reality check. We didn't ask for the COVID. We didn't want the COVID. We didn't even need or desire the COVID, but it's here. We have to deal with it. We have to deal everything that we can with this damn bug. You want to be taken care of at the hospitals? You want to be making sure that you got a hospital bed for yourself over there? You make damn sure doing everything to keep that bug away from you so you don't become a spreading center. That lovely little rally that happened over Washington, D.C. is going to be overloading everything and everything in the next 2 weeks. Think about that one. It all falls on you folks. You have to be responsible. You have to take responsibility at this point over here. You have to be accountable. You have to be accountable for your own actions because your own actions affects everybody else. We all affect each other one way or another. But we all have to be responsible for everything. Keep that in mind. And have a good morning.